household or whatever the situation was, I needed to dump or release my thoughts on paper. So it gave me this certain relief that I knew that I can always go to. I didn't always have people that I can speak to. I didn't really always have a safe space to, dump or release. So journaling was always kind of like my go-to, or, a way to get that relief. So now it's being able to use it as a tool to then transform different aspects of myself. And that's why I want to talk about like the different ways to self-reflect, because sometimes we're not able to see ourselves because we're so close to ourselves, if that makes sense.
Welcome to the Salt Podcast, where we talk about all things simple. Yep, simple anointed living tips. I'm your host, Jenny Peña. All right, today we have a special guest, a sister that I hold very dear. I have followed her on Instagram and Facebook for quite some time, and she always has light and laughter and wisdom to share. So I'm very grateful to have you on our podcast today, sister. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story and my wisdom and things that the Most High has instilled in me. So my name is Latoya. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I currently live in North Carolina. I am a self-care coach, and I'm someone who is passionate about helping others expand their self-awareness. So like, in my opinion, I believe that it's important for us to take care of ourselves and understand ourselves so that we can get the most out of our life. But because we've been through like a lot of different type of experiences, we all have different challenges and different things personally that we have to work through. Mm-hmm. So I always like to create a space where we can be honest, we can be open, and it's just encouraging people to have that same regards within themselves. So with self-care specifically, I love to focus on the inner work. I'm not against the baths and the spas and some of the outer things that we can do, because it still feels good to, love on yourself. But a lot of my journey reflects with working through the things that's happening within us, because it's almost like you can have a certain aspect of the outside of yourselves, but what's going on the inside? How are you feeling? What are your desires? What are your insecurities that you're battling? What is some of the trauma that you're battling? Because all of that matters when we're looking to pursue or have a fulfilled life.
Oof, wow, that is deep, sister. Wow. Like I really feel that, especially throughout this last few years. I think we've kind of been forced to be introspective, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
And going through, oh my gosh, like just being thrown at all these different things, like from out of nowhere, all of a sudden, and different situations that we have to see, we have to see ourselves. So I really love that you're gonna bring that for us today. But I'm really curious, like, how did this idea all start for you to pursue this as like a self-care coach, as you said? Like, how did it all start for you?
It's interesting because it's like a lot of, all praises to the Most High, because I feel like throughout my journey, the Most High uses things that, through my own gifts and the way that I think and the way that I operate to really help me along my journey. And I didn't necessarily see it as, a business or a coach or anything like that. It was like, okay, Most High's like, you're always writing. You have visions, you have a way that you like to create, you have a way that usually is working for you, in the way that I connect with the Most High and things that have helped me along my journey. So it was really something that I've always done in my own space. I didn't really share this aspect with, the world, I would say. At the time, I had a jewelry business as well as I made Hebrew flashcards, which I know you may be familiar with. So I've always been used to.
Yeah. I think that's how I found you. I think
Yes,
that
the
was years ago
flashcards.
though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Wow, I
do,
can't believe
and
you. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're fine. I was gonna say, yeah, because I was trying to think of, yeah, it's like back in 2016 up until like even 2017, I still had different aspects of the cards and things like that. But I've always used my creativity, whether it was teaching in an aspect. And at that time, I didn't really consider it teaching. Like I remember with the flashcards, I just created a method that worked for me to help others learn the
Mm.
language. So I started to share that with my family. I started to share with children that I was with in the church at the time and different things like that. So as I was like expanding and evolving, more things were coming out of me as far as what I was doing. And I know that
Yeah.
one of my friends, she had said to me, she was like, me and her like really have deep conversations and, just strengthen each other and things like that. And she said, you should share like some of these methods that you're doing with other people. And, I'm naturally a shy person. I'm so used to being behind the scenes. So when she first said that, I was like, I don't know about that,
Yeah.
so she was like, no, I think you should. So I was like, I don't know. But she
Yeah.
kind of encouraged me to do that. And I started off doing, self-care lives. And this was something that I was just doing on my personal page while I still had my jewelry business and things like that. So I would do self-care live circles on Instagram every other Sunday where I would share different topics and sharing different methods that I use, especially heavily focused on journaling, because that has always been a big part of my journey, even when I was younger.
Mm.
So with the self-care circle and different things that, I was doing, I through meditation and prayer, I kept noticing like how much things that I have done in the past, how much it just showed even bigger as I got older. And I was like, wow, I always
Oh.
love to help people. I love introspective things. I love reflection. I love building. And I love, just different type of discussions that were focused around self-care and the inner work. And I
Yeah.
remember I was writing in my journal, like all my ideas and what I wanted to do. And at the end of 2019, coming into 2020 is when I really kind of took that step to, step it up as a business in an aspect, which
Mm.
was at the time I was excited about it. But I also was like, what about my jewelry business? Do I just
Oh.
completely stop this? Do I do both? So it took a lot of meditation and prayer to, stop something in one aspect, but then allow myself to go full force in what I'm doing now,
Ooh.
so it's been a journey and there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that I personally been able to see within myself as far as like growth and expansion by just being used by the Most High in this way. So it's like I always get these ideas from the Most High and I get excited about it, and then like my flesh kicks in and I'm just like, wait, I don't know about that. I'm kind of, afraid. I'm kind of nervous. And I'm just like, no, okay, I have to do this, and all things just
Mm.
honoring the Most High.
Amen. And when we honor him and we move when he tells us to move, amazing things happen. And you saying that
Mm-hmm.
it came to you, that he gave you this at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, it was like perfect timing for a
Mm-hmm.
shift where so many of us need what you're offering and what you're showing us how to, self-reflect and journal and self-care. And yeah, I agree, like pampering is great, but we can't do that every day, and it's not such an easy thing to go to on a daily, moment by moment when we need it. Like we can easily grab a
Mm-hmm.
notebook and sit down and journal, even with distractions, even with kids around and everything. Me being a mom of three,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you I've been journaling, and it has been like, oh man, it has been so healing.
Wow, all
And another
praises.
thing, yeah, another thing that you touched on about your own healing and processing through it all, like, is there something that you have been able to overcome from this process that you've been using in your own life?
Yes, I think one of um the biggest things for me throughout this journey was honesty, vulnerability, as well as accountability.
Mm.
So there were so many things that, you know, I had within myself that I struggled with and I felt like I was always at war with, but I didn't always give myself a space to honor and be honest with how I was feeling. I would kind of feel it and then, you know, get irritated with myself that I feel a certain way and then try to like shove it underneath the rug. So the process of being honest with myself and being vulnerable and being open and allowing myself to feel some of the things that sometimes don't feel as good, you know what I mean? And allowing myself to be okay with that, it showed me how much more I can love myself. It showed me how much more growing I can do within myself. So the honesty part was really the biggest thing. You know, I remember the first time that after going through a meditation and reflection, I was like, wow, I'm a people pleaser. And when I first kind of said that out loud, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't like how that feels. I don't want to admit that, but I said it. But then I had to write about it because I started to see different patterns in my life. And, you know, where did this come from? Why was I like this? Why was I searching for validation? You know, I'm a caring person, but I'm also not caring for myself. And where's this stemming from? So it's like all these things that I was somewhat of aware of, but I never you really use the phrase to say, hey, you're a people pleaser. So kind of giving it a label in a sense allowed me to dig a little bit deeper on finding the root of certain things. But instead of being angry with myself or upset to be like, oh, I hate that I'm like this. Why am I like this? I don't like myself. And all those kind of sometimes the way that we can get when we see an attribute that is not as pleasing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it opened a doorway for me to say, okay, if this is something you recognize with yourself, it's okay. You know, you can be open. So just being vulnerable with myself, being transparent, being honest with myself first, you know, and when I say with myself first, it's still a dynamic where it's the most high, you know, because I feel like in all that I'm doing, I can always feel the most high or, you know, energy that's above me. You know what I mean? So that's that intimate space that's always created in everything that I do. So being able to have that with myself first and to build that relationship and have that safe space with myself is something that really transformed other aspects of myself. Because back in the day when I would journal, I would, you know, release my emotions. You know, sometimes it was good emotions, sometimes it was bad emotions. When I felt like I was overthinking or I was misunderstood in my household or whatever the situation was, I needed to dump or release my thoughts on paper. So it gave me this certain relief that I knew that I can always go to. You know, I didn't always have people that I can speak to. I didn't really always have a safe space to, you know, dump or release. So journaling was always kind of like my go-to or, you know, a way to get that relief. So now it's being able to use it as a tool to then transform different aspects of myself. And that's why I want to talk about like the different ways to self-reflect, because sometimes we're not able to see ourselves because we're so close to ourselves, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes total sense. And and sometimes, oh gosh, you just said like quite a few things because yeah, being a people pleaser, oh, I feel that big time because it's so paralyzing when you don't know what move to make or what thing to say, and then you start thinking like, wow, did I just say like something really dumb, or like how did they take what I just said? And then it's like, oh my goodness, the over analyzing is so paralyzing. And it's right, and it's like your own life, it like you can't function in your own life, let alone trying to start a business or a ministry where you're, you know, involved with helping other people and listening to other people. I mean, especially putting yourself out there, you know, on YouTube and Facebook Lives and Instagram. Like social media can be and has become like has become so scary because some people come on and, you know, they just say, you know, outlandish stuff, and they don't even take the time to see where you're coming from or care, and just have so many opinions without even, you know, some sense of restraint or filter or kindness. Oh, girl, I feel you so much on that. So I'm really excited to hear also what you're going to bring to us today, which is an interesting topic. Like, especially with like self-reflecting and how you said that we're so close to ourselves that, you know, sometimes we even just dismiss things. Oh, that's how I am. If someone else
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like it, well, that's on them. That's how I am, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, different things. And I'm happy that you're bringing in the Most High to the conversation, because there is plenty of scripture that says like we need to you know, work on our own faults and our own you know, sinful nature, our own weak nature,
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, grow from glory to glory. So yeah,
Mm.
I'll I'll
Yes.
be quiet now and just let you go off on your topic.
Yes, and before I get into it, I did want to also mention something that has been very valuable to me throughout this journey, and something that I had to work through was being able to hear my inner voice. And that inner voice was also that connection to the Most High. Because I feel like throughout my life,
Mm,
with being a pleaser, with, you know, sometimes going through that phase of seeking validation and different things like that, I started
mm,
to constantly crowd my inner dialogue with, which was really like other people's opinion. So I had to do a lot of like plucking, like this is not even my feelings, this is not even my thought, because a lot of that built up me, which became my perspective. But I had to really look at myself through the eyes of the Most High. I had to look at myself through myself, and it's something that's still a growing thing for me, you know what I mean, because it's
yeah.
not just my adult life, it's childhood, and it's different things that I've absorbed from people, because I'm also a person that can easily absorb things, and that's why I have to be mindful about what I absorb and go through these different methods for myself personally that allows me to ground myself. Because especially, you know, everything was happening, you know, last year, I would always tell myself, okay, I want to move according to my spirit, I want to do things according to the Most High, and I don't want to
Mm,
just do or go somewhere because it's the majority, or because this person is telling me that I need to. How can I get to a
mm,
place where I know that what I'm doing, I trust myself, I trust the Most High, and I can hear? And that has
ooh,
always been my focus, because I know a lot of my life I absorbed so many other information or other people's opinion that I thought was considered my truth. And then as I
mm,
started working through different insecurities, and I started to realize, like, wait, I always looked at myself in this aspect, but that's not true. Okay, I
mm,
physically saw myself in this light because I was always told this, but that's not true. You know what I mean? So it's like really
mm,
being able to dismantle those thoughts that are really not associated or serving you in any type of way. But because you didn't really get a chance to self reflect and take a step back, and we get kind of conditioned and comfortable, you start
mm.
to operate a certain way that may feel like you, but you'll reach certain points in your life when you're just like, wait a second, something doesn't feel right. And you
Yeah.
start to search for certain things, and then you have to tear those things apart. So that's why self-reflection is big to me as well. And
Mm,
just kind of general statements about self-reflection, I love being a student of myself. You know, I love being able to take a step back and take notes of my behavior, my thoughts, you know,
mm.
certain people that I'm surrounding myself with, and is it affecting who I am, is it fruitful, you know what I mean, different things like that. And
Oof.
really being able to see a reflection, that mirror, in my day-to-day life, whether I'm at work, whether I'm at the grocery store, whether it's a conversation with someone, being able to constantly see yourself and not pointing that finger like I'm this way because of this person and this happened to me. And that's where the accountability comes in. It's like, okay, I
Mm,
don't want to be the victim anymore, because honestly, it's not fruitful. And I've been in a place where I beg people to treat me a certain way, or I beg people to do things for me, and all these types of things. That's just like, okay, I can't change people, I can't force people to do certain things, but I can
mm.
be responsible for my own actions. And when you move away from blaming people, and I don't mean, I don't say,
Oh.
excuse me, I don't say that by saying like, you know, there aren't things people have done that have caused harm or pain or things like that, but it was a way for
Mm,
me to take my power back by not always playing the victim. Oh, you've done this to me
mm.
and I'm like this because you said this, and I, you know, it's kind of like, okay, you said that, but this is what I'm going to do about it. And that's how I regain
Mm.
confidence, my esteem, and a personal power to have.
Oh, girl, yes. Wow, praise the Most High. Yes. Wow, I'm blown away. like as we talk more, I feel you. Like I feel your passion, I feel your truth, I feel the experience you lived. Like I'm also the type of person that I can absorb and I could empathize, and even like to the
Mm-hmm.
point of like hurting myself because I put myself too much in other people's like, oh man, like man, I really did hurt them, or wow, I really did deserve their backlash or whatever, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and never really truly heal from that because oh man, I'm just I'm absorbing what you said too because it can apply to so many different situations that we go through on a personal level. And I really appreciate you being vulnerable with us right now. But yeah, yes, please tell us more.
Yes. So one of I did say that I would discuss three ways that you can self-reflect, and these are personal methods that I've used. I know that there's many other methods, but I want to share these three. The first one, of course, is journaling. So we did touch on journaling for a little bit of the conversation so far, but just to kind of talk about it a little bit more, journaling
Yes.
is an intimate space for you to express and explore, you know, the different aspects of yourself. So you can do what I like to call free flow writing, or you can use journal prompts. You can get into gratitude writing and things like that. But it's really a space where you're able to release your thoughts and then also connect with your different emotions. Now, journaling, as far as how often, how you should physically do it, whether you should be alone, do you want to do it with music, everything is going to come down to what you feel comfortable with. You know, my journaling
Mm,
session is not always the same. Sometimes when I'm overthinking or I'm feeling very heavy on the inside and I can't really talk about it and I really can't find the words, I literally just
yeah.
free flow where I just release my emotions. And when I'm done, it's just like through that, the spirit is like, you got that out. Let me give you some understanding. And I'm like, oh, I feel relieved. Like, you know, I don't
Wow.
even worry about grammar. I don't worry about punctuation. I'm literally being honest with what I'm feeling, even if I don't have all the answers for what I'm feeling. You know, I would
Yeah.
express that in my journal. And then sometimes you have journal prompts where you can create some of your own, because sometimes when I journal, I'm asking questions and I'll go back to my journal and I'll use that question as a meditation to write some more. Or it may be
Mm,
something that you find online. I know I have a write it down series that I share on Instagram and YouTube, where I share a journal prompt weekly, and encouraging others to take some time to reflect and write. And it gives you those moments where you can sit with yourself to really see what it is that you think, because the way that we define things is going to vary from person to person. So
mhm.
what, you know, you and I may consider what makes us feel successful may not be the same. How we define happiness may not be the same. So it's important to get to a place to connect with yourself to understand, what do you think? Because also sometimes our feelings and our understanding changes. What I understood as success when I was 18 is not the same that I think now, you know, almost 31.
Mm,
So it's like we experience different things, we go through different things, our understanding expands, and it's always good to kind of check in with yourself to say what it is that I feel, what it is that I'm thinking, what it is that I believe, you know. So
mhm.
journaling is a great way to get a closer connection with yourself. And the reason why it helps you to reflect, because you can always go back and reread things that you've written. You know, you can hold yourself accountable that way. You can check your progress of anything, and it's a place where you can recognize different patterns. You know, there's different, like, let's say relationship wise, let's say you took some time to reflect and write about the different ways you saw yourself in your different relationships, maybe choosing three over a span of 10 years, or, you know, whichever relationships happened during a certain time frame. But then you can start to
Mm,
notice the certain patterns, like, hey, these are three different types of people that I've been with, but there's something that is the same with each one of them, or something that I can see within myself. But sometimes we actually can't see those patterns as we kind of go day to day, you know, because we're not really thinking
mhm.
about it. Sometimes we are, but just being able to write it out. Or if you're free flow writing often, sometimes I just grab a few of my journals and I'm like, wow, in every journal, I'm always writing about XYZ. So you can start to
Mhm.
notice what are some of the patterns? What are you writing about the most? Do you see any progress within yourself? And sometimes, you know, you get to a point where you go through some of your journals and you're so far past a certain situation, you can throw the journal out, you can rip the pages up, you can really let go and release that aspect of that as well. So that's also a beautiful thing about journaling, is that it's a place to be intimate, but it's also a place where you can surrender and let go and physically let go some of those thoughts and things that you've written down.
Wow, that is a lot more than I expected out of journaling. And it's true, everyone does it different. And, you know, like obviously some people will start off with, you know, maybe prompts and then work up to like being able to just free flow and feeling comfortable with just writing stuff that when you read it, it's not going to make sense. Like how you said, no grammar or punctuation or anything. And it's just like releasing all these emotions. I can definitely attest to it being a release and being able to see patterns and reading back and like, wow, I was in a dark place that time. I am so grateful that the Most High took me out of that really dark time, because using those words and thoughts towards my own life and my own self is something that I don't want to like the pattern and a way of life I don't want to continue, you know. And journaling is true. It's such a safe spot to like, you know, unleash all these ideas or thoughts that you really I don't feel comfortable somebody else listening to, you know.
And
like,
and the beautiful thing about, oh, sorry.
No,
I was gonna say the beautiful thing about it too, you know how like when you write a post on Facebook and you get, it's like 2 years later and Facebook shows that you have a memory of a certain post, and sometimes it's like it relates back to the same feeling that you're having presently, but it was 2 years ago. And a lot of times it's like you think you're going to remember everything that has happened to you, everything that you said, but we don't. So being able to have those reminders and was like, wow, 2 years ago, like you said, I was in this place, or wow, I'm still having this feeling 2 years later. So just having those reminders sometimes, even what's happening now, I'm like, I feel like something like this was happening last year. And I know last year was just last year, but I'm just like the time frame, I'm trying to put it together. But that's why now sometimes even, well, I always journal with the date, and sometimes I even write the time. Just being able to get a timeline to assess something from last year, because I can barely remember everything from yesterday. So let alone something that happened in 08 or, 2012. I'm just like, I vaguely remember, but to hear or reread like your inner thoughts, or just the way that you're feeling, or things that's happening in your life around a certain time, it just gives me a better place to kind of assess myself, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And you have journals like that you have for available. I know you said you have the Write It Down series, which you give, what was it? The weekly prompts?
Yeah, so the Write It Down series is just something where I share the prompts online, and then I share my response and reflection from my journal on YouTube and on Instagram or IGTV. I don't have my own journal that I sell. It's something I am working towards. I would love to put together. I have like all these ideas, but you know how you have all these ideas and you're slowly working towards it. So I'm definitely being patient with myself, but a journal is something that I do want to produce and share. As far as products, I have self-care cards, and within the self-care cards, there's a section that's specifically for journaling and meditation. So the cards have different questions on them that allow you to reflect and, you know, journal and things like that. But I'm working up towards an actual journal soon.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. I can't wait for that. And knowing you, it's going to be so beautiful, because the things that you put together are just amazing.
All praises to the Most High.
Amen. So journaling is number one on the self-reflection tip, right?
Yes.
And so you're going to tell us like one or two more things?
Yeah, so I'll share two more things. The next thing, which is one of my favorites, which is voice memos, or, you know, you can call them voice notes. I originally did not realize how profound voice memos could be. But it's something that I've used along my journey that is great for reflecting.
Yeah.
When I first did it, it just was something where I was just like, okay, I'm going to, I get my phone, hit the voice memo app, and I just started recording. And then right after I was finished, I started listening back to it. And initially, I couldn't really reflect because I was so caught up in criticizing myself. But it was something that I needed to happen because that was a reflection of itself. It's like, I didn't like my voice. I was criticizing why I said certain words. And, when you allow yourself to be in rare form or just raw, that's like the most beautiful thing. But sometimes we shift and mold ourselves in different ways or different audiences or whatever the case may be, because we think we have to be pleasing a certain way. We think we have to sound a certain way. So I had to get out of the habit of not liking my voice and not being able to listen to myself, because I feel like if I can easily listen to other people and enjoy other people, why can't I enjoy this aspect of myself? So once I got over that hump, I realized so many different things that I could see when I recorded myself. Now, this is perfect if you're not able to journal, pen to paper. You may be having something that you want to release or say, and it's just, sometimes I have so much adrenaline, like I don't want to sit still and write. I got to talk, sometimes I could write and it's quiet and I could do that, but sometimes I just need to speak. I need to get it out through my voice, So voice memos are great for that. So I can be driving down the road. I can be in the kitchen washing dishes. I can be in my room walking in circles, but I'm just freely speaking without being worried about what I'm saying, but I need to get something off my chest. So those are great because whether you listen to them right after you record or you wait a few days, it allows you to then listen to the things you can't usually hear when you're the speaker. You know what I'm saying? So I can be talking to you and I hear myself talking and I have the thoughts going in my head and I'm trying to express myself, but being able to listen back, I hear my tone. I hear certain things I love about myself, some things I maybe not love off the gate. And so I have to explore the things that I'm criticizing. I'm starting to notice the layer behind what I'm saying, or giving myself something else to think about. And one of the most powerful ones that I had that started the voice memo journey for me was when...
Hey, it's me, just taking a quick sec to let you know about the Pink Premium Access. Get the link for access in the show notes or heavenlytreasure.net, where you can choose monthly or yearly access options. You will get all the uncut gems hidden from the Salt podcast, plus exclusive episodes, promos from guests, Ask Me Anything episodes, and private group Zoom calls for Access members only. Sorry to hide these next gems from you. See you in the Pink Premium, and thanks for helping me keep the show alive and running.
But yeah, I wanted to hear your last thoughts or any last message that you want to share with women listening to our conversation today.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I definitely hope that even if it was in everything, it was something that you ladies would be able to take away from today's conversation. I want to encourage everyone to be dedicated to make that time for yourself, to connect with your inner thoughts, to connect with your emotions. And I know sometimes it can feel overwhelming because we don't feel like we have the time, but to start somewhere is still somewhere to start, even if you feel like I try to also suggest, using your daily routine to fuse in moments to connect. So if you're cooking a meal for your family, if you're washing dishes, if you're not playing music while you're doing those things, maybe you're just allowing yourself to be in a meditative state while you're doing laundry, or, maybe you can join and fuse some of the things with your children so that you can build that connection of connecting with your emotions and having the dialogues with your children as well. So just being open to opportunities, despite what challenges you feel when it comes to making time for yourself, praying about it and asking the Most High to create that space and using your creativity to bring that into your life.
That's a beautiful message. Thank you so much, sister. Can you just tell us where people can find you? What's your website, your social media?
Yes. So my website is Golden Light Self Care, and I'll spell that. It'll be GOLDNLIGHT and then selfcare.com. So my handles on social media is Golden Light. So GOLDN.LIGHT. So anytime you're spelling golden, it's no E in it, if that makes it easier. That's also the same name on Facebook. And then on Twitter, which for me, Twitter is a place where I can dump my thoughts. So my name on Twitter is Light Dumps, LIGHTDUMPS. If you're interested in being a part of the Write It Down series or you want to follow along, you can follow the hashtag WID series, SERIES on Instagram. Also on YouTube, my name on YouTube is Golden Light. So I do also post my videos there as well. And subscribe to my newsletter. That will be a great way to kind of stay informed with all that I'm doing, to get additional journal prompts and recaps. And then if you're interested in purchasing my self-care cards, I have produced a 30-deck honor deck, which includes journal prompts, encouragement, and physical self-care acts that you can do to help expand your mental, emotional health as well. So that is on my website, available for purchase if anyone is interested.
Thank you so much. And I hope that you all take advantage, please, of Sister Toya's, everything that she has available. And she gives so much. I'm so grateful for you. Everything that we talked about and her links and resources will be in the episode notes. So check those out to be able to find her and everything that we shared today. Thank you so much for joining me, girl. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate the opportunity and this platform, and I wish nothing but the best for your podcast endeavor. And I know that it will be successful.
Thanks for listening in. Be sure to hit subscribe and visit heavenlytreasure.net for more. See you on IG at Heavenly Treasure Living. Till next time, blessings, and remember to be the salt of the earth.